Welcome, bloody welcome, and thank you so much for tuning in this week to our little old channel, our little old YouTube channel, Richard and Paul. Will you be the 6,000th subscriber? If you are, there might be a prize. Not really. There might be a booby prize. Booby prize. Welcome. This show is called
Sunday Chat!
Oh, Paul, don't be ridiculous zipping your mouth up as though I've told you to shut up. However, somebody didn't like your miming last week, Paul.
No, they didn't.
I have to agree with them. I didn't like it either.
Oh!
I just can't go on. Anyway, welcome to the show and thank you for subscribing and following us. We are very grateful, and yes, we're almost at the 6,000th subscriber, which means a lot to us, actually, because if you think about it, that's 2 ABBA arenas full of people.
Yeah.
Isn't it? When you think about it like that.
Yeah.
It's quite crazy.
That is quite mad. And about 100 of people in that arena are actually watching, aren't they?
Yes. So thank you for taking the time to tune in and enjoy. And
it is a funny thing though, subscribers, isn't it? Because, you can have loads of followers and subscribers, but not really get views. And then there are other channels where their percentage of views to subscribers is really high. Yet some people who've got tens and tens and tens of thousands, their percentage is quite small. I'm a statistician, so there we are.
I mean, at the end of the day, look, the reason we do this is because we made the decision a few years ago to start vlogging and sharing our lives as if somebody might be interested. And people were, so that's great. And, there was also the intention of earning a little bit extra cash when I went part-time to pay a bill. And that's what we achieve. We pay a bill.
Through that and coffee, that's great. And thanks to our subscribers on coffee because, it's really appreciated. And those people who watch 30 seconds of an advert, if you watch 30 second minimum, or a whole advert if it's less than 30 seconds, we get a penny or something from that. So thank you for that. Yeah,
and just to go back to what I was saying, we pay a bill and we also manage to put a little bit of money aside for things like a piece of equipment like the camera breaking or something like that. Because, believe it or not, we don't really have the spare cash to just splash out £1,000 on a new camera.
I don't think anyone, many people have at the moment anyway.
So, our money, we're pretty careful with money actually. We only spend if it's an investment in what we do or in the house. So, recently I've spent a little bit of money on a few new plants for the garden, which hopefully will go towards making the garden look a little bit prettier when we do put the property on the market. So you do have to spend a little bit of money. And that kind of moves us neatly on to things we'll be talking about later. We'll be talking about a couple of little home improvements that we'll be doing very shortly, with the help of a nice little young man that Paul found on the street.
I actually found him in somebody's garden.
Yeah. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later. What I'd like to talk about at this moment in time is social media, in actual fact. And a reminder that we are on Facebook, Richard and Paul, Instagram, Richard and Paul, Twitter,
Richard and Paul,
Richard
one.
And Paul, one. And of course our Facebook group Planet Vegetaria. I wanted to talk about PV. Couple of things I wanted to say. It's a really fantastic group. and it's full of really friendly people. And the amount of interaction that we have and the amount of people that post is really brilliant. If you do want to join, you can apply to join, but you must answer the questions, because what happens is, within an hour of you applying, Facebook will decide whether your application is good enough or not.
And basically, it will say if somebody hasn't answered the questions, after an hour it will just get rid of you. It will get rid of you. So do answer the questions, because to be frank, if you want to join a group and interact with people like-minded, be positive, all of that, a couple of questions to answer is hardly anything to ask.
Yeah, they're not particularly complex, so you need to answer the questions. Otherwise, Facebook will reject it, and we've set it up like that so we don't have to. It's an automatic thing that we have set up,
and I don't think we've ever had it, but if you did sort of fill in the answers, you don't automatically become a member. We then see the answers, so if anyone put in any profanity or anything with those answers, then we would just sort of reject it anyway. But I don't think that's ever happened, has it?
No, because it's full of nice people. Yes. That's why it's a private group and not a public group. We're the moderators, so we look after the group. But I can honestly tell you now, you will receive lots of lovely comments on any posts that you make. Join us there. Join us.
Yes, become part of the cult.
The cult that is Richard and Paul.
And Planet Vegetaria.
And remember, if you want it all, watch Richard and Paul.
That's Richard and Paul since
2017, that's contractual. So thank you very much, thank you. And yes, will you be the 6,000th subscriber on our channel? 6,000 subscribers, amazing.
We'll most probably go down to 5,900 now or something.
But, it's taken a long time to get to that point. And I honestly thought we'd never get over 2,000 subscribers at one point. We don't really look at those numbers particularly, and we've spent a lot of time not showing our subscriber count because it didn't really mean much to us. But it's an achievement, and it's worth celebrating. Let's crack open some fizzy SodaStream water. That's SodaStream by SodaStream.
Yes. This isn't a paid promotion.
Stores.
Is it now available at all good stores?
They can pay us if they want to.
Yeah. But they won't want to.
Just like I've got Mickey Mouse on my breast. Oh dear, don't show it.
What, your breast?
No, Mickey Mouse and Disney. It's branded.
No, you're not allowed to do that.
But if they want to pay me to show my breast, then I will.
Have you seen their stopping trains, Eurostar stopping trains
going
to
straight to
Disneyland,
Disney?
Paris?
Oh well, that's great. Lovely. Maybe they'll stop people dressing in a slutty manner as well. I mean, the fashion at the moment, it bewilders me.
Oh dear. It's people expressing their own individuality, Richard.
Well, they all look like sluts. Especially Madonna's daughter, who's got a new video out. I watched it and I swear to God one of the lines was, I'm having a wee.
I'm having a wee?
I'm having a wee. I'm sure she says that at one point, or I want a wee. I mean, she looks like a whore.
Somebody, and I did say that at the plot today. Not today, this week. I said, I'm having a wee. And the person went, oh right, okay.
You were in your shed having a wee?
No, I was behind my shed, hidden. And my
Paul.
door was open in the shed, so the person thought, oh well, Paul must be around, and they're going, Paul!
So are you telling me that people just randomly wee all over the allotment site?
Well, not randomly, no. Not like...
You mean you have a specific site where you do it, like a dog would perhaps?
Well, dogs, do they have
or
specific...
Or a cat?
That's it's not randomly. Things like mice and rats wee randomly.
Yeah, shush now, Paul.
Only
that's just absolutely outrageous. Let's move on, for goodness sake. So thank you to everybody for your support. That's what we're saying. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, it's time for Richard and Paul's weather report.
Yes.
What has the weather been like? Well, actually, despite me wearing a linen pashmina and a beautiful overshirt,
Smock.
it's actually quite warm this morning. It's quite, what's the word?
Pleasant.
Humid, but it's pleasant.
Is it humid?
I find it a little bit humid, to be honest.
Are you
All
feeling
I
a little
do.
bit moist?
I can't go on.
I can go on.
Yeah. But the evenings and the mornings are getting cooler now, cooler, fresher, because we're in meteorological autumn.
We
now.
are. 19 days away from astronomical autumn.
The equinox, which is equal day and night. But to me, I think, I really feel autumn starts in September, really, because you do notice the difference in the weather.
And the light.
And the light, it's mellower. I mean, I love this time of year. I don't know about you, but I love September. Not because it's my birthday month.
No.
But
it is his birthday month.
Because I don't know, it used to hold this sort of strange feeling of trepidation. And I think that was a leftover from going back to school. And all the anxiety that goes with that, especially if you're starting in a new school. But I don't have that sort of feeling now. It's a sort of warm glow feeling, golden glow of September.
Oh, that's lovely.
Don't you think? I think it does. The promise of crisp mornings, no more blinding heat and glaring sun.
Yes, but I do worry about my butternuts. Because cold, cool mornings and nights, really they need to develop quite a bit more before we can harvest them. So I want sun, I want moisture, and I want that heat during the day. At night, okay, a little bit cooler. Yeah.
Good.
Because things still need to grow, you know.
And
I don't think we're going to get an Indian summer though, do you?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't feel it in my waters.
No.
But I do believe we're in for a rainy treat next week. So that's not going to do your butternuts much good, is it, really, Paul?
Well,
No,
the
it
water
isn't.
will. If I give them a good feed tomorrow, i.e. Sunday, when you see this, that will set them up quite well for that rainy week. Yeah.
Good. And we'd like to say happy Pride weekend to the people of Guernsey.
And Jersey and the Channel Islands
Jersey.
as a whole. Yeah.
So they're all set. That's a bit late, isn't
Well,
it?
I think it's just I think it just sort of fits in, and I think it's great. It's a whole weekend of, you know, sort of celebration, and Candy Gardens has got events and stalls and things. I think it's fabulous, and those steps outside Specsavers, all the steps have been painted in rainbow colours. It looks fantastic.
Those very accessible steps for people who can't see properly. Alexa, please stop. Alexa, stop.
But that's why they've got the ramp as well.
Yeah, which again is covered in cobbles and trip hazards.
Yeah, it's not easy.
And one side of the ramp
Oh,
drops
stop
into
being
an
so
abyss.
negative.
It drops into an abyss.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Yeah. Not great for your mum.
No. Thankfully, she only needs to go to Specsavers every couple of years, so yeah.
So, Paul, what has the week been like for you?
Yeah, it's been okay. I've been getting a bit frustrated about a few things, but yeah, I don't know. At the plot, it really does feel like autumn, and it's felt like autumn for a good few weeks. So, yeah, harvest to do, a bit more seed sowing to do, but that's about it.
No, it's not about it, is it, Paul? What happened at the plot on Wednesday night?
Yes.
Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
There was a crime.
Yeah.
A crime.
We think it was Thursday morning, because the allotment was broken into again.
Yes.
Second time in a year. The communal sheds were opened, and lots of the sheds were open that were padlocked. I don't have a padlock on my shed. None of my sheds have got a padlock. They've got nothing in them of any real value, you know. So mine was untouched, and I think two guys came in, opportunistic, and broke into a lot of sheds, and nothing really seems to have been nicked of any value. Maybe a couple of quid in some person's shed. But the main thing is the invasion of your privacy and your private space, your haven, and also the damage to people's sheds because they've been crowbarred open. So padlocks have been broken.
How do you know it was two people, Paul?
Because somebody heard, one of the plot holders who's there regularly early, heard somebody in a specific shed, two guys talking in a specific shed, and thought it must be the sons of the shed person, because occasionally they'd been down there really, really early as well. So just thought, oh well, it's their sons having come down early to water, you know. So yeah, we know it happened at that time. So
and you also know the exit point and the entry point as well.
Yeah, well, we think the entry point was over the main gate, because the main gate, one of the gates, has just fallen a little bit. It used to be flat with the other gate, on a level with the other gate, but it's just maybe half an inch lower now. And the exit point was behind. In fact, it was behind our plot neighbour's shed, and they used a chair in the plot neighbour's shed to help themselves get out.
Well, they left the chair there, hadn't they, Paul, by the fence that goes over into where I work.
Where he works, yeah.
So I phoned my place of work because there's a 24-hour respite unit next door, and I warned them to be vigilant. That's right.
And, you know, the thing is, even if that person had known that, you know, those people were breaking in to sheds, the advice would have been just to call the police and leave the site, you know, not to go and address them at all. So yeah, need to be, you know, careful about that. I mean, yeah, another crime in our area the other day that was very unpleasant. So, you know, we just need to be careful of approaching people that we might not know, that we think might be doing something wrong.
Don't take the law into your own hands.
No, call the police. You know,
they'll only take 4 hours to arrive.
Yes, but you know, police need further funding from the government.
Well, they do, and that's the thing, isn't it? Because there are certain things they're simply not interested in.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we're reporting the crime, but, you know, don't expect anything to happen.
No, they won't investigate things like that.
No.
It's simply not worth their while.
You know, they've got
bigger fish to fry.
They've got to sort of look at where their resources are best spent. That's why they need more money from the government.
Let's move on.
Moving on
to annoying things this week. What's annoyed you this week, Paul?
People. Stop pulling my hair.
I'll pull it if I want to. You're mine.
Dear, honestly. No, what's frustrated me this week so much, actually, because there's been a lot of it. I'm not sure whether it's the going back to school bit or things like that, but people who put things on Facebook, you know, does anyone know what time such and such shop opens?
God, that annoys me as well.
So they spend time going on to Facebook to put in a comment which they want answers to, where actually they could generally just go onto Google and say, what time does such and such open?
Yeah.
Or just Google the shop and it will give you the opening times. There's very, very few sort of shops now that don't interact with Google and put their opening times. You know, and it's sort of, I mean, like for Earth's sake, we were closed Bank Holiday Monday.
Oh yes, it was Bank Holiday.
It was Bank Holiday on Monday, and instead Vanessa and Liz were doing a stall at Pease Lake Summer Fair. So we had put on Google, you know, we changed the times on Google to say that the shop was shut. We put a post on Google to say that we were at Pease Lake Summer Fair instead of at Google. We put posts on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. So actually, just Googling, is for us sake open today on Bank Holiday Monday would have given the answers.
Yes.
And I just think it's sort of attention seeking.
Of course it is.
You're putting, does the hairdresser open at 9 o'clock today? Because other people will go, oh yes, I've checked Google, it opens at 9. I mean, why put that on there? I understand if you're growing a tomato, has anyone grown sun gold tomatoes before?
All right.
Or something. That's advice, It's not information that might be readily available. Asking for information that's readily available, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, shush now, Paul. Goodness sake.
You wound me up then. Yeah.
Well, things that have been...
I'm a bit like one of those bunnies, aren't you? You wind me up. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can also bash them over the head with a baseball bat as well. Things that have been
annoying you this week.
Thank you for asking, Paul. What have I been annoyed? I was annoyed with myself. I had 2 disturbed nights' sleep, and they wiped out Thursday and Friday mornings completely. I was absolutely exhausted, and it was really annoying because there were things I wanted to do, and I just didn't have the energy to do it. I just felt completely and utterly flat as a pancake, and the energy didn't come in until the afternoon when I sort of started whizzing around and doing stuff. So that was annoying this week, but nothing in particular has annoyed me, nobody in particular, which is strange. Although it was a bit of a disturbed week this week. It was a strange week because it was Bank Holiday Monday. I went into work Tuesday to be asked whether I would work a full day on Wednesday, which I ended up doing, which was fine because basically there were too many people on annual leave at the same time, and I was the only person available to cover the shift. So I said, yeah, I'll do it. And actually it turned out being a really productive day for me because I tidied the PPE room.
But you were really annoyed, weren't you? I mean, he came home.
I was very
for
annoyed
lunch
by it, to be honest.
On Tuesday.
Because, no, I'm not going to talk about it because it's talking about things that I shouldn't really talk about work on here anyway.
No.
So,
but
I was narked. I was
Yeah.
narked by it. And I won't say why because that's unfair. But it was the perfect storm where there basically wasn't enough cover other than me, and it shouldn't be that way. So yeah, but I ended up tidying the PPE room, getting a lot done, which was great. So it turned out to be a productive day, and I turned it around myself.
I think
So
that's
I turned
good when that
around
happens.
the feeling of not wanting to be there into, yeah, I've really achieved a lot. Well, you have to.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
do you do? Sit there all day moaning? No, I don't think so. That's not the way to do things. The way to do things is to take action and create a little goal for yourself. By the end of the day, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Get them done, feel satisfied, go home, feeling as though you've achieved something. That's the best way of doing it.
There we are.
Really? I think so, anyway.
I think you're right, Richard.
Lovely, Paul. So, it's just a quick one this week because again, talking about goals, I've got a couple of goals to achieve this afternoon. We've got a set of shelves in the corner of the room in the bedroom, which is frankly gathering dust because there's too many things on the shelves, itty bitty things that just gather dust. Loads of old CDs, loads of books that we don't need or want. So I'm going to be going through all of that, clearing it all off, free cycling the things we don't want, and getting it tidied up. And getting all the CDs in one place because they're all sort of behind books at the moment. So
they're
you
sort
can't
of
even,
hidden, aren't they?
Yeah, because we don't really play them, but I kind of don't want to get rid of them because some of them are quite rare.
Especially the Right Said Fred CD. Don't want to get rid of that.
I've got some albums that you can no longer get. So I'm going to go through them, put them all in one place so you can see them, and so they're accessible. So that's my goal for this afternoon that I would really like to achieve. So, what have we watched on TV this week? Not a lot.
I thought you were going to ask me what my goal for this afternoon was going to be.
No. What gave you that idea? What is your goal for this afternoon, my darling?
I'm going to do something at the plot. That's my goal. There we are.
Great. I've got other things I want to achieve as well, like doing some further research on my new season of Cheap, Tasty and Filling, which will be coming up. I keep promising it will come, but there's quite a bit of work to do before that happens. I've got a little bit of gardening to do as well, because I'm currently maintaining the garden.
I think you need to go out with scissors and snip the grass.
No, it's not ready for that yet.
It's not ready for that yet.
Not ready for that yet. Oh, that's my washing machine finished.
His washing machine sings at him.
I love it. It's like R2-D2.
What have we been watching this week?
Nothing really. So we watched maybe 2 things.
Yeah, we watched Calliope, the Sandman. Calliope.
Standalone episode Calliope, which was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, we watched that last night because we've been enjoying the garden room.
The snug.
Yeah, the snug.
With the doors open till late, watching our lights come on.
Yeah.
And just watching the lights slowly fade, which it's still doing, but it's doing it a little bit earlier these days.
And you see the cats come into the garden, and you sometimes just see their eyes when it's so dark. You know, the light catches their eyes, and you see them. Quite cute.
Yeah, it's kind of meditative. You know, just sitting and watching the garden turn dark, go through all the different shades of green and then eventually grey, but then you get this sort of gentle illumination from the warm white of the solar spotlights. And it's very gentle. It's kind of like a strong candlelight, really. It's just very relaxing, and we're in bed by 10 usually.
Yeah. And you're loving the sort of green lushness of the grass at a certain point, doesn't it? It looks like a fluffy cushion.
Well, it kind of fools the eye, that light, that dusk light. And we're fortunate to be in this part of the world to have those long, slow dusks.
Because Bali was sort of like bang, wasn't it?
Well, it's on the equator, so, you know, if you're on the equator, you don't get much of a dusk at all. It just sort of turns. But yeah, so we watched The Sandman. We
watched the first 2 episodes of Schitt's Creek again.
Oh dear, looks like we might be watching that again. Uh-oh. We've talked about it
so lovely.
So many times, there's no point in going into detail about that. It's a great show.
Quite comforting. But I am noticing a few different things, so yeah.
In terms of talking about the garden, Paul's brought me a couple of chairs from the plot to tart up. I showed a little video the other day on Planet Vegetaria, doing one of them in the dusk.
You were ragging it or something?
Yeah, I ragged it with paint, just used an old rag just to smear some paint on for that lived-in look. And that was it really. We have... Alexa, please stop. Thank you. We have listened to a couple of pieces on the radio. We listened to The Weirdstone of Brisingamen and The Moon of Gomrath by Alan Garner, a radio adaptation of those books, which was quite entertaining. They're kind of children's books, but we enjoyed them.
I think The Moon of Gomrath was a better adaptation.
And if you've never heard me recite the Tale of Alderley, which it's closely linked to, have a little look at this video here. And yeah, that's been our week really. Bits and pieces of work in the garden and the house.
And the plot.
As we said earlier, we engage the services of a young man who's going to be looking at one of our windowsills that needs replacing. He's coming a week on Tuesday, which is excellent. He is also able to do electrical work as well. So we have a cooker hood that needs replacing, that no longer works. So a feeling of achieving stuff this week, which is really good. And I think that leads to a feeling of satisfaction at the end of the day, which is always good.
Yeah, definitely.
I find. No, it's true.
Yeah.
You have to feel as though you've achieved something at the end of the day and reflect upon that.
And even if that's something that you've achieved for yourself, like relaxing and just resting and having time for yourself, if you achieve that and that's what you wanted to achieve, then that's fab.
And I mean, that's come out of the fact that a couple of days I was exhausted, a couple of mornings I felt exhausted through lack of sleep. But if you can still turn it around, go for it. Sometimes there are days when you just don't want to do anything at all, let alone record a video. So that's the end of today's show. Thank you very much for watching and tuning in. We're glad that you came. Sincerely, we are.
Yeah, well, we are. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. And thank you for watching and tuning in and supporting us. So take care. Toodle pip, au revoir. Bye for now.